YouTube family? Welcome back to another episode of 2A in LA. As always, anything that I say in this episode, past episodes, and future episodes is just my personal opinion. You should not take it as fact. You should not take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusion. And right off the rip, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that for your boy. All right? Okay, let's get this episode rolling. So I've done a lot of reviews on a lot of the guns that I laid out in my gun collection, and that's what this episode is about as well. However, this is the first episode where I'm not doing a rifle, I'm not doing a pistol. We are talking about the Black Aces Tactical Bullpup Pump Action Shotgun. And if that isn't a mouthful for you, why don't I give you an eyeful? Look at this bad boy. What? Come on, fam. Y'all see what it is. So it comes in semi-automatic as well as pump action. This is a pump action. It comes with a 5-round mag, but they also make 10 rounds. And there's a drum, I think that holds about 20. And it's a bullpup, which means that the action is behind the trigger, which allows for a much more compact weapon, which is ideal for home defense. You know, if you're trying to clear your house and you're moving around corners and in and out of doorways, you don't want something that's extra long. You want something that's a little more compact. So from that perspective, the fact that you've got this, kind of condensed platform, because it's a bullpup, you can have capacity up to 20 or more rounds if you've got the drum, and the fact that you can get it in semi-automatic or pump. I mean, this is a very, very diverse platform and something that I think everybody should look at, and it doesn't break the bank. And we all are price conscious these days. And so I think on the low end, you're probably looking at about $600. On the high end, maybe $800 or something like that. So to have this kind of package, capacity, and with the option of it being semi-automatic or pump action, I mean, that's hard to beat. That's very hard to beat. I think it's a really good shotgun. It's the first shotgun I ever bought. Again, a lot of times some of my purchases were more about what was available at the time. I don't know that if I would have done a lot of homework up front, figured out exactly I don't know if I would have went with this one. But it was in the height of the pandemic. There was not a lot of availability. I live in California, and this one was available. And again, this is one of those instances where I kind of trusted my FFL. They felt like it was a good shotgun, and so I went with it. And then after the fact, I did a lot of research. And look, most reviews on YouTube are positive on this gun. Again, because of what you get. It's a pretty good home defense weapon. Now, I've done just a couple of minor things on here. Obviously, I've added a strap. I've added a weapons light in the front, and I've got an optic. It's an inexpensive optic, like a Fayyachi optic on it. I didn't pay very much for, but other than that, the gun is stock. And so, what are the knocks against the gun? So again, I give you all the good points. Semi-automatic or pump action, you have that option. Capacity is good, 5-round, 10-round, or a drum. Bullpup setup. So if you're maneuvering around the house in a home defense scenario, you've got a relatively small package for what this is packing, because it is chambered in 12 gauge, right? So all that is good. Here is what I will say. That the pump action requires a long, slow stroke. It is very easy with this gun, more so than other shotguns, pump action shotguns that I've shot since this one, where if you aren't careful when you're pumping to eject the round and to load in the next round, if you don't do a long full stroke, you almost got to hold it for a second until you see that cartridge eject out and then put it back in place. If you try to short stroke it, and this is a problem with not just this shotgun but other shotguns, but I'd say it's easier to short stroke this shotgun than some of the other ones. And if you look at the complaints and some of the reviews on YouTube by other YouTubers, they'll tell you that really that they've had feeding issues. So originally I thought, oh man, this is not, I didn't get a good gun. I should have did more homework. But what I discovered is once I kind of looked at the various YouTube channels and discovered, oh, people are having feeding issues and how they are addressing it. Once I started doing a more long, deliberate stroke, I found that my feeding issues went away. And so you just need to be very calculated with this particular shotgun. The semi-automatic, I don't think you're going to have trouble. So I'm strictly speaking now about the pump action. But if you get the semi-automatic that automatically ejects, I haven't heard people complain about feeding issues. The pump action, that seems to be a common theme, and I think it's less about the gun and more about the operator. You need to make a very long, deliberate stroke when you're pumping your gun, because if you don't, what will happen is the cartridge will stick. And so what you want to do is when you're cocking the gun and you pull it back, hold it for a clip. Make sure you see that round eject and then let it go and lock back into place for your next shot, versus just kind of trying to rack it and being kind of fast and not being more deliberate about it. So if I had a complaint about the gun, that would be it. But from a price point, it's affordable. From a capacity perspective, 5, 10, 20 plus rounds are at your disposal. And of course, that's assuming you're in a non-capacity limit state. In California, we can't do more than 10 rounds. But if you're in another state where you can have more capacity, then you can get the drum. And I haven't heard anything about the reliability of the drum. I will say this though, that I have found that the 10 round magazine, it doesn't feed as well. It doesn't feed as well. It looks great. When it's in the gun, it looks great. But again, a couple of things on this gun that I would change have to do with the feeding. And you know, look, if you're using this, if this is your sole home defense weapon and your life is relying on it, I don't mean to shortchange how important, you know, having reliability is. It's incredibly important. So here's what I would say. Relative to feeding issues, relative to the pump action on the gun, I would say if you can get semi-automatic, get semi-automatic. If you prefer pump action shotguns, or you're required to have a pump action shotgun, depending on your state, I would say that the feeding issues relative to that are pretty easily eliminated with a longer, more deliberate stroke. And so, like any gun, you have to train with it, right? And so, a little bit of training, and you'll have this gun mastered in no time. If you've got a 5 round magazine, then I have never had an issue with the 5 rounder. With the 10 rounder, I have had issue with the spring. What I tend to do though is to just load 1 round less. You know, if I do 9 rounds versus 10, it seeds a lot easier, and that's the case, you know, even on a lot of AR-15s and other guns. You just take a round less. And so that would be my recommendation. If you go with the 10 rounder or you go with the drum, take 1 or 2 less rounds in it. And it'll help with the seating, and it'll help with the feeding, and make a long, deliberate stroke when you're cocking the shotgun. But other than that, hey guys, great budget shotgun, capacity, short platform. Once you train with the weapon and kind of get the ins and outs of it, it can be a very reliable gun. But hey, I love shooting it. It's fun to shoot. It's a blast like most shotguns are. And so, Black Aces Tactical FD12 Bullpup shotgun. All right? Until next time, family, I just want to say peace. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Until next time, I'll see you.